or part of loop of Henle consists of two parts, the thin part here and the wide part here, or thick part. So this is the thin ascending part of loop of Henle, while here is the thick part of ascending loop of Henle. The mechanisms of reabsorption of sodium is differs in these two parts. So in the thin ascending part or arm of loop of Henle, sodium is reabsorbed by sodium chloride driven force. While in the thick part here, in the thick part of loop of Henle, sodium is reabsorbed by specific co-transporter protein. It is called sodium 2-chloride potassium co-transporter. And by this mechanism, about 30% of sodium is reabsorbed here. So let's recall and say again. Sodium is reabsorbed in ascending part of loop of Henle by two mechanisms. In the thin part, it is reabsorbed by sodium chloride driven force, while in the thick part of loop of Henle, sodium is reabsorbed by an Na2Cl co-transporter. About 30% of sodium is reabsorbed here. Let's move now to the distal convoluted tubules. In the distal convoluted tubules, sodium is reabsorbed by sodium chloride co-transporter. And here it is a specific co-transport protein, sodium chloride co-transporter. The distal convoluted tubule, the absorption of sodium occurs by this mechanism, the sodium chloride co-transporter, not sodium chloride driven force. It is not a driven force, not electrical force. When sodium follows the chloride to maintain or compensate for what? For the electrical gradient. No, sodium here in distal convoluted tubule is reabsorbed by specific co-transporter protein. It is called sodium chloride co-transporter, and about 7% of sodium is reabsorbed by this mechanism here. And now we are going to speak about sodium reabsorption in collecting ducts. In the collecting ducts, sodium is reabsorbed by specific cells, here, specific cell channels. They are called ENaC channels, or epithelial. E stands for epithelial sodium channels. Throughout the epithelial sodium channels, or ENaC channels, sodium is reabsorbed, and these channels are under control or effect of aldosterone hormone. We will speak about later in this lecture. So till this point, the reabsorption mechanisms of sodium in the renal tubules has finished. Now, when sodium is reabsorbed to the inside of renal tubular cells, what is the fate of sodium now inside the renal tubular cells. Sodium then will be pumped actively to the intracellular spaces. Sorry, to the intercellular spaces. Here. Intercellular. By what? By the effect or the help of sodium-potassium pump. So by the help of sodium-potassium pump, sodium will be pumped actively to the intercellular spaces and potassium will be pumped to the intracellular spaces here. In exchange of sodium, you know about sodium-potassium pump. So if I ask you what is the fate of the reabsorbed sodium that is now inside the renal tubular cells, the sodium will be pumped actively to the intercellular spaces, and then sodium here will diffuse to the peritubular capillaries. Sodium then from the intercellular spaces will diffuse by diffusion to the peritubular capillaries. What is the factor that assists in the diffusion of sodium? In fact, after filtration has occurred here in the Bowman capsule, you know that the osmotic pressure or oncotic pressure inside the peritubular capillary now increases. Why is that? Because of filtration of water to the lumen. So when water decreases inside the peritubular capillaries, when water decreases, that means the solutes or plasma proteins will increase, in other words. And by this, the oncotic or osmotic pressure here inside the peritubular capillaries will increase. When oncotic pressure increases, this will assist or help in diffusion of sodium. And of course, in addition to oncotic pressure decrement here, because of increase of oncotic pressure, increment of oncotic pressure, and decrease of hydrostatic pressure, sodium, till this point, let's restore. Now, what is the factor that help to reabsorb sodium from intercellular spaces? Note here, after filtration has occurred and water is filtered to the lumen, the inside of the peritubular capillaries will be of less amount of water. In other words, the solutes increase, and this will create a high oncotic or osmotic pressure. So osmotic pressure will be increased, and hydrostatic pressure will fall or decrease in the peritubular tubules. And this will assist for what? This will assist for reabsorption of sodium from intercellular spaces to the peritubular capillaries. After we have spoken about the mechanisms of transport of sodium in transport or reabsorption of sodium in renal tubules, let's speak about the factors that affect the reabsorption of sodium. The first factor is GFR. So what are the factors that affect the reabsorption of sodium in renal tubules? The first factor is the GFR, or the glomerular filtration rate. Let's recall together that the normal glomerular filtration rate, or GFR, is about 125 ml per minute. This is the normal GFR, normal glomerular filtration rate, about 125 ml per minute. And according to this principle, whenever the glomerular filtration rate increases, the sodium reabsorption will also increase, but the fraction of the filtered reabsorbed sodium will be constant. How is that? We know that the normal glomerular filtration rate is about 125 ml per minute, and we have said that the reabsorption rate of sodium in proximal convoluted tubule is about 65%. So the 65% sodium reabsorption rate sodium reabsorption rate of the GFR means about what? About 81 ml per minute of sodium. 81 ml of sodium will be reabsorbed in each 1 minute. This is true when the GFR is about 125 ml per minute. So if the GFR increases, let's suppose together that the GFR will increase to about 150 ml per minute, the sodium reabsorption rate will also increase, reaching about 98 ml per minute. Sodium reabsorption rate. So 90 ml of sodium will be reabsorbed in each 1 minute if the GFR increases to about 150 ml per minute. And let's take the percentage. Now we are going to see that even when GFR increases, sodium reabsorption rate will increase also, but the percentage of reabsorption will stay constant, which is about 65% of the total GFR. So when the GFR was at normal state, about 125 ml per minute, the reabsorption rate of sodium was 81 ml per minute. In other words, it's about 65%. And even when GFR increases, reaching to 150 ml per minute, the sodium reabsorption rate also increases to 98 ml per minute, or about 65%. So from this equation here, we are going to see that not the glomerular filtration the only factor which affects sodium reabsorption. In other words, by this ratio, about 2 to 3 of sodium, of the filtered sodium, is reabsorbed. 2/3 of the filtered sodium is reabsorbed. So what about the remaining sodium? So that means there are other factors that affect the sodium reabsorption. So this constant state of reabsorption of sodium is called glomerulotubular balance. So what is the glomerulotubular balance? Glomerulotubular balance means whenever or whatever the glomerular filtration rate increases, the sodium reabsorption increase also, and the reabsorption state will be constant. So let's speak about the other factors that affect the sodium reabsorption in renal tubules.